pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Rita Eckerman. Here. Kim Grady.
Here.
Amy Brooks.
Present.
Okay. And do I have a,
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. And then how about the work session?
Move to
Have a
approve the
motion?
minutes of the work session.
Okay. Second?
Yep, I'll give a second.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It was a good work session. I was really
Yeah.
happy with that. I thought
Yeah.
we got a lot done, so. I see no citizens here, so maybe we should change that to civilian participation, because we are citizens.
Yeah.
Staff presentation.
The report that I send out, I always try to give the call comparison year-to-date, and for technical issues, we've been unable to calculate and tabulate everything, so once I get all that, I'll get it out to you. But suffice it to say that we're still, our call volumes are increasing as
Our bank account, we've had several new recruits. They're going through academy right now, so things are getting more and more attention on the volunteer side.
Great.
Which is great news, because we definitely could use the help for taking incidences like Echo Mountain happen. We can get people up there and help out, so
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
great.
thank you.
Eric, can you tell me when, generally speaking, when is the volunteers meeting?
We've now, it used to be on Tuesday evenings, it's the last Tuesday of the month.
Okay,
But we've now changed it to the last Monday before like the drill, so we're just gonna kind of do it, because it never lasts more than half hour, 45 minutes, so we're gonna do it for the first drill. And anyone's welcome to attend. I think Chief Mason's gonna be doing a spaghetti this month, but we always try to have some kind of meal there, so free food.
If one of the volunteers, if they step up and want to cook, great. If not, the district, we've been buying pizza and stuff just as a thank you for them coming in.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, finance report, just moving right along.
At the end of September, the district had $668,491 on hand. That's 33.8% increase over last year's $499,741. That money all went into reserves. That's a plus. The expenses aren't really, we haven't had a lot of expenses other than the ongoing vehicle repairs. It's that $15,860, July through September. So that's pretty much. One thing to note, I don't know why, the workers' comp, I haven't had a chance to look into it, workers' comp really jumped. We went up from about $14,250 to $19,260.
Wow.
That's a pretty substantial increase.
Yeah.
who increases those? Is that the state?
Special districts
Oh, special districts.
insures us, so it's a assigned risk pool. Everybody in special districts is in the pot, so to speak, and so they're insured internally over a broad area like the state of Oregon, things like that. They have different classifications.
Do you remember when the last increase was?
Well, it's not unusual to increase, it's just unusual that we've had such a jump. Part of that has to do with our payroll has gone up, so that has a lot to do with it. But still, there's a pretty good jump there. Haven't looked into it yet, but out of curiosity.
Yeah.
And and I do know, in talking with special districts, one of the things they revamped a little bit this year on the work comp, like in my position, they would allow us to say, okay, you're the fire chief, so you're the CEO of the district, so, 50% of the time, you're administrative, so we will charge you the lower administrative cost for the insurance, and then as a responder, the other 50% of the time. Now the way they're doing it is, if you go to any high-risk thing, even if it's 10% of the time, so you're paying the high-risk
Right.
premium. And it's the same thing with Chief Mason, so that could be part of the issue too.
Well, there's been a general acceptance over the past few years. I think it's up to 12 different kinds of cancer now. If a person who is or has been a firefighter in the past comes down with any of those cancers, they're automatically considered to have been work-related.
Right.
And they become the whole, from there on out, is all a workers' comp claim.
All the presumptive
Yep.
legislation on that.
And so it's taking some time to figure out what that's going to do to rates and stuff. They started talking about it, gosh, probably 5 or 6 years ago when the first type of cancer was put on the list. And at the time, I was at one of the SDAO meetings, and they said something like, mark my words, we're going to end up with at least a dozen different cancers that they're going to say are directly related. And anyone who's been in a burning building even once qualifies for the presumptive job-related cancer. And they pretty much is to the point where they don't even dispute it. They just say, okay, open up the file and start paying claims. So that's going to get real expensive, and I think we're seeing the first bump from that. They were kind of waiting on some of it to see what types of things came out of 9/11. That's 20 years ago, but they've really been able to drill down on that now and see like what percentage of those guys ended up with cancers and significant lung diseases and things like that. And insurance is just numbers. So they just sit back and they keep track, and they, every year the guy in the back room with the calculator is saying, okay, this year, just based on the number of firefighters we insure and the potential risk with the job, here's what we're going to pay out in claims. And if these wildfires continue, I don't even want to think about what it's going to be like, because at least in a structure fire, you're wearing a Scott pack.
Well, and you even see it on the law firm advertisements and everything with firefighting foam, that every firefighter in the country is,
Yep.
Jamie in his career with the Air Force, I mean, that's what we trained with, and that's
Yep.
what we still use. And now, of course, there's carcinogens, and so there's lawsuits and all kinds of things coming out of that, so.
Yeah, and you look at how much they've sprayed it at the Portland airport just in training and stuff, and now there's that whole slough that runs along between the airport and the river, totally filled with runoff from that stuff. There's huge stuff going on up there about it, environmental, and people whose houses are along that worried about getting cancer. So that's what, I have a feeling that's what a chunk of it is, because I insure a couple other districts that are not fire districts, and we didn't see that kind of percentage of increase in the workers' comp this year. So, still worth a phone call, but I think that's probably what part of it is. Yeah.
Anything we can do to mitigate any of the charges?
No,
No.
it's just with the fact that it's actually been written into law in some states. But just the presumptive causation, and they're gonna pay the claim, doesn't matter what. Yeah. Part of why we have a $10,000 washing machine out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
That's all I have.
Okay, great.
I make a motion that we approve the financial report.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Correspondence.
Nothing other than what I handed out.
Okay. Old business. Good old Tidewater.
We're doing a lot, Angie and I at Western Title. We're getting close, let me put it that way, so.
Good.
So you got the minutes you need.
Got the minutes I
Okay.
needed, got all of the information. Part of the issue was, what is Central Oregon Coast and Fire? What kind of an entity is it? So, actually I wound up calling Signe, and then between myself, Signe, and Angie at the deal, we're working it out, so.
Good.
So it's been some kind of title issue?
No, it's just how to put the title in what kind of form.
Oh.
And we're a municipality, so,
Oh,
Have we purchased the property?
Well,
not
we
until I sign it.
we
so.
consider municipality or a special district?
No, municipality,
Okay,
so, now you know.
gotcha. Well, yeah, I would have said special district.
Yeah.
I think I heard that sometime in the past, but in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. So anyway, we're working on that, it's getting really close, so.
Good deal.
I texted Angie today, asking her if she had any current update, because, I knew I was gonna be here. I texted her and I said, and they'll ask, so.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Now, I don't remember if I gave you or not. Does she have contact info for Wilson Airgood in case she needs insurance
Yes.
info?
Yes, right after that, I think I just forwarded
Oh,
your
okay.
deal to her, so yes, that was
Yeah.
prior to that, yes.
They've changed their name. They're now WHA. They're not
Right.
Wilson Airgood anymore. So,
Yeah, I gave her the phone number and the personal contact, yes,
Okay.
that's correct, so.
yeah, 'cause first time they picked up the phone, someone told me that. We're no longer Wilson Airgood.
Dave, is
Okay.
there anything else that we need to do on this?
No,
Okay.
we're perfectly fine, we're moving along.
And I
It's all
think-
legal right now.
Yeah, and I think, I can't remember that before the last board meeting or after that I did reach out to the attorneys as the board had directed and with hiring one of our personnel to be the project manager and then overseeing, and then bidding out the roof and the certain things, and they said that is perfectly fine to do that.
Good.
Well, that'll save us money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's just a matter of course, we still, we talked about Eric, and Eric meets the criteria for that. But we still have to bid it and get the three prices for the roofing or whatever the materials are and this and that, and then document that they're paying prevailing wage and keep all the appropriate paperwork. But the law firm said that's totally fine to do it that way. Thank you very much.
Good.
Good. Okay. Mackenzie regarding city property.
Yeah, if you remember, Jeff from McKinsey did a presentation, and the board, at our planning session, we talked about the bond issue in the future, and then part of that project would be the purchasing things, and so I reached out to Jeff again to say, okay, give us a quote on doing an evaluation of all this complex here, what it's gonna cost to make it usable as a fire station, administrative buildings, and bring it up, if we have to bring it up to current seismic standards and that sort of thing. So I reached out to them, so I'll have a quote back from them, for them to do it, and instead of us just trying to piecemeal it, make sure we're doing everything properly.
Okay. Do we have any new business?
Not that I know of.
I don't have anything.
Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Bueller.
I did, just so you guys know, I had a brainstorm one morning and got a hold of the chief about, we bought all these new Scott packs, and I started thinking about the departments over east, or, in the Cascades, that lost their whole building and everything, and wondered if maybe we couldn't donate some of that over that way. But he called around, and that didn't seem to be a big issue. But
At least we made the offer,
Check.
right?
yeah, we made the offer.
Right, and the truck that we donated to Will Ewing up in Detroit area, they did lose one fire truck in that fire, but it was not our truck, and they love it. They call it the Warthog. They've got it re-lettered, and they said that's their pride and joy right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I saw this one on the news, and I first did a double take on it, and I thought, nah, that's not the one we gave them. So, okay, Chief, anything else?
Chief's report, see all the election paperwork, I think I reported, it's all been finalized. I was happy to see that everything got into the voters pamphlet properly. That was between Chief Mason and I, and working with the county. Okay, too many words, not enough words. You can't say this, you can't say that. It's like, okay, fine, but it came out pretty well, I thought, in the voters manual. I had to look for it, and then I searched for any naysayers, and I didn't see anything there. So that's a plus too.
Yeah.
Haven't, well, we are putting together a little brochure to send out, a factual brochure, which is legal for us to do. We can't send out a brochure that says, please vote yes for this, but we can say, here's what your fire district has done over the last 5 years. And so Eric and Jamie were getting the final touches put on that, I think. We're tweaking it a little bit, but.
Isn't it a little late for that?
No.
The ballots are going out tomorrow.
Right, well, I got my ballots yesterday, but it'll go out, either tomorrow or Monday. And it's, social media is where most people see this stuff anyway. And then my plan was to go to the chamber and go to the Lions Club, go to the Moose Lodge, and, do a little dog and pony show, and obviously that's not an option either.
Yeah. Yeah, we've come to where we just have to rely on social media right now, because that's where people are.
And in my career, I've always told people, and I tell the staff and the volunteers and the board, everybody knows at least 5 people. So tell your friends and family, please support the renewal of our tax levy, and if everybody does that, then it'll pass.
Chief, I think in this particular case, it would be great if we had a program where, like when you go on a call and it's a very successful event, that there's like pictures and things like that, and then that be given to the media or that be put out, because that all makes us look a lot better.
And it's being done right now, Peter. I mean, Eric and as public information officer is doing a good job. We're, every significant event, here's factual information, here's pictures of what we've done, here's what your fire district has done. So it's all, anything we can't release. Now, medical calls, things like that, we have to be very careful about.
I understand.
What we say, but fires and things, the staff's been doing a great job getting our name out there, and even weekly reports. Here's what your district has done in the last week.
Yeah, I just think that our customers, so to speak, would enjoy it, not just enjoy it, but go, oh, here's another reason why I want to vote for this.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, that's all good, positive stuff. Keep right on that.
Well, and I do know that Eric has been getting a lot of, both Eric and Wendy, for their posts on Facebook, a lot of appreciation from people.
Right.
Keeping people aware of what's going on, so.
And so knock on wood, we consider no news is good news, right? So, let's See, down my report, I don't need to regurgitate stuff you've already read. We're still having COVID-19 meetings. As you've heard, there's been a few changes in our South County dispatch tones. That's still kind of a work in progress, trying to, instead of setting off 3 or 4 or 5 different tones for our responses with Seal Rock and Yachats, that they're going to do one South County tone. We're not quite there yet. Cruising for Crab, we attended that, successful event. I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure how I was going to work at the high school pharmacy, but it was pretty well attended. Had a nice sunshiny day on a Saturday to do it. Echo Mountain fire reimbursement, there was a federal declaration which we were going to be able to get 80%, I think, of some of our expenses. But since then, the state did a retroactive declaration for conflagration for North Lincoln County, and so I've got the paperwork emailed to me, so we are going to submit all that. Chief Mason's pulling together all the timesheets and and it'll be like any other conflag that we responded to. So we'll get so many dollars per hour for our apparatus that was there, and all the personnel costs that responded, and the personnel that covered for them. So that's way better than what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And Engine 7201, we reported at the last meeting that about the refurb on it, and the cost that Eric had presented was $37,470. And then as I looked over it, I wanted to verify that included the labor costs and everything else. And so he worked with Fleet Services at Newport, and I'm glad I asked about it because it did not include the labor costs. So the total cost, estimated cost to rebuild the engine, the transmission, et cetera, is $49,470.
Still far cheaper than replacing the
Yes.
rig.
Absolutely.
And it'll get us a lot of years out of it. So.
And I've got a breakdown of that I just like, even though we had a consensus to go ahead and do it, I want the board's approval to proceed forward. I didn't want to pull a rabbit out of our hat and say, hey chief, how come this cost more money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, any money we spend towards maintenance of it is money well spent.
Right, it's an investment, Peter, because that's, we plan, even with the future, a bond issue or something in the future, we plan on keeping this engine for another 20 years.
How's our truck doing?
It's broke again.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What broke
It needs help.
What broke this time? I forgot to ask.
Actually, the injector, one of the diesel lines to the injector went out,
Oh,
which is part of the list that you just got handed.
yeah.
It was supposed to be replaced anyhow, but in that process, but it decided to, it's like it knows,
Yeah.
so.
So do you need a motion then to go ahead and proceed with the
Yes.
full cost?
I would appreciate that.
I move that we proceed.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Motion carries.
See, that way, Peter, when you see that, what's this check for, chief? You didn't tell us about that. Oh, yes, we did. It's right there.
No, I think that it's far better than, as Timmy says, the alternative, buying a new truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the trucks that we looked at in the past, Chief Mason, we find some what appear to be good used trucks, but how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's, you
So what-
guys bought this sight unseen from the East Coast, didn't you, Tim?
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the question, what line item do we take the funds out of? Brett? The
I'm
40?
not sure how much it is, actually.
It's 49,000.
50,000.
Yeah, 50,000.
I'll have to look at it. We may have to use some of the contingency in the mix
Okay.
There's 25,000 budgeted for contingency.
It can't come out of the equipment fund?
Yeah, but you'd have to figure out what you're not gonna do with the money in the equipment fund.
That's the reserve fund, I mean,
Beg your pardon?
the equipment reserve fund?
There's not enough money. If we were to spend everything we budgeted,
Yeah,
there wouldn't be enough money to cover it
oh, okay,
left in the equipment reserve fund to do that.
okay.
We'll take a look at it, Gary and I will, and we'll see if there's something in that equipment reserve fund that we don't need to
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Brett, our equipment reserve fund, about roughly how much is that in proportion to the original amount? In other words, whatever was budgeted for that, then this is in reserve? And what percentage do you like to keep in reserve?
Well, we like to max it, but we don't have that luxury because we're still in the building phase, trying to build those reserves back up. So I don't know, Peter, what that number would be.
Just curious.
That magical number.
Yeah,
I don't know, it would depend on our future needs and things like that, if we were saving for a new rig
mhm.
or what have you. It's just too many variables, and I don't know the answer.
Just curious what makes up a reserve fund number?
Well, it's whatever, we do the budget,
Yeah.
the regular budget, and we assign whatever we can for savings, that we can take and transfer over to the reserve funds.
Mhm.
And still leave a cushion, because we have to have a working capital amount that will allow us to get from July through about 2/3 of November. That's to carry us through, so we have to have that cash in the bank. So we budget, hopefully, so that we don't get ourselves in a difficult situation. And then the rest of that money we transfer off to the reserve funds.
Mhm.
So it depends on what our needs are, what equipment is expiring,
Mhm.
things like that.
Mhm.
Generally, you wouldn't use the reserve funds like the equipment reserve like we have, but it just works out that way.
Okay.
We just don't have enough money coming in yet to be able to really start, squirreling away money. So we have to use, and it's always good in my mind to use the equipment reserve fund as a capital fund. So if you've got capital items, you're gonna buy a very expensive piece of equipment or something like that, it's a good idea to try and reserve those in a certain area of the budget and not mix it in with your daily,
Mhm.
activity, your materials and services and your personnel and things like that, because it skews the history. So, it's best to get those unusual items out of the general budget and move them into other categories where you can isolate, how much do we really burn a month, so to speak, in cash to stay, working. Anyway, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. And
That's my thought.
it's like a long-term savings account, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And if you don't set aside money, if you don't start doing it, you just may spend it all. So it's been my, my thought, my goal is to try to put away whatever we can without stopping that, that practice.
yeah.
It's better to get used to it every year than not.
And Timmy, have we, over the last 5 years, been able to increase our reserve, so to speak, if that's the right word?
Well, at one point, we didn't have any,
I know that.
so having some is a increase.
Right.
So yeah, I would have to say we have been able to.
Each year, we've gotten better and better.
Well, no, has it gotten bigger every year? Have we put more in every year? Is that what you're asking?
No, just,
Says no, but
well, no, there's only
Yeah.
so much to do.
the account has grown,
That's what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah. Good,
Um,
with the reserve.
Yeah,
Good.
One thing about the levy funds, that they give us, that we get our money from, or, you know, the majority of our revenue, is every year, you know, the property taxes, they can assess a 3% higher for properties that haven't been sold or something like that, which changes that
Right.
formula, it changes the base as to what they're charging for the property taxes. So when we take out a levy 5 years ago, we've lost, you know, 15, 20, whatever the rate of interest is, inflation is, from the time we began to the time we get to the end, we've lost 20%
Wow.
on that buying power on that money, in theory. I mean,
Oh, and-
I'm saying 3% a year, you know, plus a month. Right now, we haven't had really high inflation, but, you know, if we hit a year like that and your levies are the same amount as they were, and you've got your, you know, the inflation's going up here, you know, your buying power goes way down too.
But our levies are based on a dollar assessed value, or, I mean, per thousand.
Right.
Yeah, it's per thousand, but it only increases by 3% a year unless a property is sold
Right.
and purchased, well purchased.
But at the beginning of the levy, we're not locking it in to whatever the tax base is in that 1 year. As the tax base raises every year, the levy generates more income.
But if our costs go up more than 3% is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And our buying power is less.
Yeah, even
Right.
if your property value, assessed value goes up, the most we could get is 3%, even if it went up 15%.
I see what you're saying.
Unless it's resold and
Unless
then,
it's, yeah,
then
it's purchased,
changes
and
over.
then the assessors put a new number to it.
Whatever it sells
And it's
for.
gonna work in good years and bad, you know, I mean, it go down, and we had a reset in what, 2009 or something like that, I think, when the property taxes went down, I believe, the assessed values.
Oh, after the 2008
Yeah.
dump?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they went down for a while, now they're coming back up. Interesting.
Okay.
One last thing, want to defer to Chief Mason. Do you have anything on your firefighter academy?
So I handed out just an update to try to keep from extending the meeting. It's just informational update. The academy's going well. We're just about, I think we just actually passed our 1 month line with the recruits. And so we're sitting at 9 recruits in the academy for both districts combined. I'm not really splitting them. We're all working together, so I just kind of look at it as one team. We also gained a additional chaplain for the district, and we gained a couple of support services as well. So overall membership, I think we took in somewhere around 15, 16 applications, and we're still holding at just about 12, 13 right now for membership.
That's great.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you're doing great with training. We've really improved in that,
Yeah,
really.
so the first part of that paper just talks, just kind of gives an overview of the recertification that we're about to go through. Basically, I usually try to have it in by November and keep DPSSD happy with us. The second one just kind of covers training in general. Those are training hours compiled. So I finished all the data entry today, which is not one of my favorite parts of the job, but I got it all in there, and I was able to start running reports, and I'm gonna start running individual reports next, but our total district report showed that from January 1st of 2019 to now, we have a total of 2,077 combined hours of training, and I just did for to appease me and just to kind of show the changes since I got here, from February 3rd, which is the day I started here, till now, roughly 9 months, we've not only matched the previous 13 months, but we've exceeded past the 13 months training
Right.
from before. And so our training numbers are up, and we're not even done because we still have
Excellent,
Fun.
excellent.
And it's showing on calls. I really want to say how much I was very appreciative and how proud I was of the responders on the Barclay Meadows fire. When I arrived on scene, I was the second person there after Bob. Bob got there right before me. And when I arrived on scene, we had explosions from propane tanks. And the house was so hot, the paint was off-gassing. A couple more minutes, that house would have been on fire. And our crews had handlines on the ground within seconds of arrival. And we were able to knock down the RV and stop the spread of the house. So it was a really good job.
That's really excellent. You know.
Yeah.
It's those kinds of things that really need to be like publicized, that, where we've saved someone's house and it's here, and, you know, that's great.
Yep, yep.
Good job.
Yeah, I listened to that on the radio, and it sounded pretty hairy.
There was a lot going on, but our crews, we set up incident command, we were brought into the fire attack, and we were aggressive with it, and we knocked it down very quickly.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
And the rest of the time, the majority of the time that we were there was spent dealing with the hazards of the sheds, and, you know, not being able to send people inside because they weren't stable.
Oh.
So it was just kind of do what we can from a distance, as best as we can.
Okay,
Good, excellent.
that's great. Well, any questions from our online folks?
No, except for me.
Okay.
When would we be able to get, are we looking at Tide Park on a maintenance standpoint? Because there's things that I gotta put into play that I need, it would have been really nice to put into play in the beginning of October.
Such as,
The abatement company, as of right now, if I were scheduling, if I were calling right now,
okay.
I'd be looking at December, January, so that's frustrating.
Okay, so the answer is now.
So
I mean,
can't-
regardless,
Okay, this is what I'm asking.
regardless, we have to repair them.
Yeah, oh, I agree, but I didn't want to put anything into motion without it being ours, and I don't know.
Well,
how
it doesn't
this
make any
works.
difference, we're still responsible, even if the deal doesn't go through, we still have to repair it.
Okay, so I will get that done.
Correct.
I will get that immediately scheduled and see if I can
Right.
move forward. I moved at Mach 4, and this last month has been absolutely painful for me.
Yeah.
Because
We're
I don't
gonna,
wanna get things done.
we're gonna have to do it, and I'm 99% positive that we will be owners of it, but regardless, it has to be repaired.
Good deal. Well, then I will call.
Okay.
And, get that scheduled, and we'll just get that, and get some bids out, I'll put together an RFP so that we can get it approved, and we can get that out there for bids. Because, like I said, I moved up Mach 4, and
It'd be nice to see before the end of the year something happen.
it'd
Yeah.
be really cool. I wanted to, and honestly, there's lots of other people that wanted it too. For me, it was a personal thing, I wanted to see something going started out there before the levy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because, and that comes from the PR side of me, and to answer your question, when I go through, we go to a call, and I get sent pictures from the different phones, I harp on everyone there, do not post pictures, do not, because I go through every photo, look for license plates, I look for faces, I look that aren't, you know, publicly known. I look for car types, and you tell that that's a Mazda RAV4 or a Toyota RAV4. I go through everything on the call, on car accident, fire, any of that, and before we go and post. And then the other thing I look for, that Chief's nailed me on a couple times that I posted, is do the firefighters have proper gear on, proper PPE?
Yeah,
No.
because we don't want to be the poster child.
And I've actually pulled photos down because he's going, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just to answer your question, I really tried really hard to get as many posts out there. There's a lot of times I get all sent all these photos and I'm like, well, you know, it'd be really cruel to go through and post about this because it was a pretty major incident, but you can't. Because every photo's got a license plate in it, it's got faces in it, it's got journeys where you can see feet, I mean, or, you know, I'm not gonna cite which accidents, you got crews that aren't of our district, but running around without turnouts and without gloves, without helmets, and so in my opinion, even though they're in a different district, you can't post their photos because you're throwing them under the bus, you know, so.
well, people are gonna assume they're from our district because it's our photo.
Right, and we're
Yeah.
posting that, so, I really try, there's been a lot of, I get pictures of just about every call, other than medical, obviously, I take pictures as well, but every fire or car accident or, you know, anything, I get pictures sent to me all the time. And now Wendy, I've been using her, we call her our photographer because I have run out of time, so I need to delegate. So she's actually helping me write some things and I start training her on what to look for and what not to do, what we can. Then she sends it back and says, well, these ones look okay to me, what do you think, you know? So, yeah, it's a challenge and it's something I really love to do, but I really want, I love the service, but I'm really finding that the slow pace of things that happen can be, for somebody like me, frustrating. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to our world here.
Yeah, so. I
That's
just wanted
what,
to
you know,
kind of-
government in action
Yeah.
is either one word or two.
Yeah, we knew 3 years ago what we wanted to do with Tidewater, but, you know, it just,
Yeah. And that's just it, and if any, and I also want to put it out there, I'm a super resourceful person. I know just about everything and everyone in this county at some point, some level. So if there is something that I can do, if you guys run into a roadblock as a district, don't hesitate to say, hey, do you know what this might do? Or, you know, if anything, I can put an interesting spin on something, you know?
Eric, how is this generally, when you say posted, does this mean just for the electronic media?
Well, I'm almost done. This is where me and I've run out, because I've upgraded the phone system. We're going into a high security data center, basically in-house, all behind firewalls, so that a lot of the data is going to be secured. So I haven't had a chance, but Streamline has got our website pretty much done. I've gone through, they finally fixed their profiles, because I want to put even the board pictures on the website with profiles and kind of, you know, like Dave Brooks is the owner of Alcee Bay Power and so on, and Peter, whatever you do, I don't honestly know. But you know what I mean, and have everyone there under a board tab, so it kind of gets us out to the community, and then we'll have all the staff and the volunteers under those profiles. But that was, for some reason, really difficult for them to do, to where it looked nice, otherwise it was kind of convoluted, and so, but they finally got that fixed, so now I'll be more putting it forward. Wendy's been working on getting all the prior agendas up and posted and on there,
so it's either on our website or on our Facebook
Yeah.
page, but it's still social media type of thing. You have to have computer access to do it, because most places now, they don't do mailings, they don't do, you know.
Information station, we have, Wendy's taken upon herself on some of the approvals that we've got on our social media posts, putting it into publications. We actually have business card ads for this and Yahat's meetings now, and we're working on trying to figure out how to get sealed off and put it in there. But, so as far as information station goes, even some of these photos we'll put in community action site section, or, you know,
Good.
we've got extra stuff, because there's a lot of folks out there that don't use social media, and that's part of the reason why we stream this thing on YouTube now, because there's a lot, even more folks that don't even have Facebook anymore. So now it goes on YouTube, so that you don't have to have an account, you can just go and watch it. So, anyway, that's my peace of mind.
Thank you.
So, just for clarification, just to make sure we're all on the same page here, we have the okay to go ahead and start working forward on the project, or doing the repairs and getting Tidewater up and running?
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sooner the better.
You had my approval 3 years ago.
Right, well, and that's just,
We've just been kind of waiting for an official go.
It's official.
good. Perfect.
Perfect, we're gonna go.
We are on it. And I got one last thing.
Okay,
Is it still my report?
as far as I'm concerned, I don't have one. so.
I missed this, I think, before the meeting started, but I do want to do a very heartfelt thank you to all the staff and the board and everything for the emails, text messages, phone calls regarding my mother and the passing of my mother, and thanks for everybody that stepped up our staff doing a great job getting the calls, and Chief Mason filling in and covering for me and keeping me in the loop on things, but I truly, truly appreciate it, my wife and I do. That's really all I got.
Okay. I don't have anything else for mine. I don't think we have anything for executive session tonight, do we?
No, the property's already, that's already handled, right?
Right. Yep.
So,
Did,
all right.
did we have anything for the IGA or anything? Okay. Nope, we're
deal.
good.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Well, looky there.